Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rehema Issa. I always say that slowly, so you've got some time to actually learn how to say my name. Rehema. Think of it as breath work. Rehema. My name is of Swahili origin. I'm from Tanzania originally, settled in South Africa. My name means the grace of God. Ironically, my surname is Isa, which is Arabic for Jesus. Guys, I am blessed. Like you can't scare me, you can't torture me, you can't bring me down because God's got my back. And when he doesn't have my back, I think I am the beneficiary of champions, of people who come before me, people who walk before me, people who stand in front of me, people who guide me, people who I look up to. And I think it gives me great honor to be standing here today celebrating 20 years of growth with COMENSA. What an honor. Can we give ourselves a round of applause? I saw the note that it said from seed to significance, nurturing growth and cultivating legacy. And I was tasked with hosting this evening. And I thought to myself, what am I gonna do? So I always go back to what I'm comfortable with. And I'm comfortable with story. Because everything begins with once upon a time. Where we stand in spaces that we occupy and we celebrate the journeys that have been walked, one of the things we forget is what it actually takes to get here. So we stand in celebration and reward and award, but we also stand in acknowledgement that it took a village to raise this child. As an African, one of the things that I always want us to remember is that we're sitting at the precipice of a world-turning moment, at a time when the world is actually challenged with what leadership represents, what it means to be authentic, what it requires for us to show up, what it requires for us to be true to ourselves, but yet to also be connected to the rest of the world. Damn. I am so proud and so excited to be an African in these times. In these times when the world is open up to how we think, how we see things, the things that bother us. And we have leaders who are championing the change that not only affects us, but affects how we see the world. It is a critical moment for us as Africans in the world, where leadership that we have been asked to look at in a particular way is being challenged, not for how it's presenting itself, but for everything that we've taken for granted and that requires and demands of us to show up differently. What a time to be an African, where we are seated and rooted with notions of Ubuntu. What a time it is for us to actually stand up and show up. What does that actually mean? Because it's easy in a world where words play such a big theme, for us to gloss over the meaning of what it means to be African. In a world, I was listening this morning, where artificial intelligence is reigning. What does it mean to have human intelligence? What does it mean for us to be grounded in who we are? What does it mean to show up in this way authentically, even when we're afraid, even when we're challenged, even when it's not easy, and not just when it's easy? What does it require of leadership today, which is not just the sole people in the room, but everybody we interact with, to show up as fully African? You see, ladies and gentlemen, when I stand on any environment, I don't question why you are here. I always question, why am I here? What do I represent? Because platform, I understand, is a very critical tool, and we do not take platform for granted. Every single person in this room represents an opportunity not only to have platform, but to have access to the mind and the working ways of another African person. What does that mean today? Is it something that we keep in the shadows, or is it something that we boldly claim, stand up and edify, and stand up and amplify where it exists? I sit in rooms in South Africa and on the continent, and I often hear about the dearth of leadership. I don't think that that's what the problem is. I think there's a dearth of amplification of what is right, what is good, what is working, and what works differently. In an age of working differently, what an exciting time it is to be here with coaches and mentors whose everyday dedication is geared towards identifying that which is different, sitting with it, working through the discomfort, and sometimes sitting with our own discomforts, confronting ourselves, consulting with each other, communities of practice, ways of learning. What an exciting time it is to be at this experience this year, which we sit back and very glibly say, 20 years. I'm a mother of a 22-year-old, and I can tell you for free, besides being a mother of a Gen Z, you've basically raised a Gen Z in COMENSA. And anybody who's raised Gen Zs understands that the growing pains and the challenges have required that as our generation, most of you represented in this room today, are actually doubly challenged with negotiating and navigating what we knew was the truth. I sit back and I stand in awe of the fact that we were not only able to take on board a history of what it was, but have also been able to come up and confront the definition of language, the definition of vocabulary, the definition of process that allows us to navigate the next and the new future. Wow, what a time it is to be an African. What a time it is for us to embrace the possibility, not just of the past, the present, but the potential future. I wouldn't be a proper African if we didn't start any situation and any occasion without welcoming us not just to the occasion, but welcoming us with food. Ladies and gentlemen, starters is served. What could be better than good company, good food, and good music? Can you give me a round of applause? When thinking about how to start off today's session, one of the things I had to lean back on is what are the rituals that we practice at home? I always find that a place of comfort is always to go back to my leanings, my teachings, where they're useful. And so I would always remember my mother. My mother was the ultimate entertainer. So if anybody ever came into our house, the first thing she would ask is, have you eaten? And if they hadn't eaten, I can assure you, I would have to dish up a cake within 30 minutes. So I'm an established cake baker, guys. I can bake like in 30 minutes. I will serve you fresh tea, herbs, and spices, and a beautiful cake. But one thing we always understood is that when a guest comes into your home, the first thing that you do to welcome them is make sure that you're comfortable. And isn't food a beautiful way to give comfort? I hope you're having a wonderful start to the evening. But one of the things that we were also very keen on was the idea of acknowledging presence. So I'm going to start off this evening officially by welcoming you all to this evening, acknowledging Distinguished guest, hey, you know what, ne? I'm that person. Don't invite me to be an MC because I go off my own script. So my girlfriend calls me, right? And she says, Rehema, you won't believe it. I'm like, what, my friend? She's like, I was sitting there and I was in this conference. And I knew, you always telling me, Rehema, you're always saying to me, speak up, speak up. And I thought I could hear your voice in my ear. And I thought, I am going to say something. And she says, Rehema, 5 times in that conference, I kept saying, extinguished guests, extinguished guests. I was on the floor. And because I was always on the floor, right now when I was saying distinguished guests, me, I'm there. Extinguished guests. I'm like, be careful of what you laugh at. It very well can come back to you. Distinguished guests, current president and vice president of COMENSA, past president, and all people in the room, winners, awardees. It's just acknowledging that you've taken time to give your gift of your presence and your attention tonight. It is not something that is taken for granted. It is something that is celebrated. I now open the session by inviting to the stage the president of COMENSA, but I like to introduce people slightly differently from what you can see on social media. So I'm not that person who's going to read their CV. A, we can all read. B, it's available. AI can do beautiful summaries. But I will tell you what he did say to me just before I got on stage. He says, the last thing he said is, I'm a runner. I thought, yeah, runners will always tell you, right? I don't know where they're going. I don't know who they're chasing. I don't know why they're being chased, you know? But we know he's a runner. What we also know is that he values the work that's been done before. He values the organization, what it stands for. I can also share with you that one of the core values that he espouses is one of teamwork. He values the fact that the team that brought this together is not just one, but multiple teams. The work that allows us to get here and to celebrate takes a village. And in recognition of that village, I'd like to invite up on stage right now, and this is where my things always go blank. I would like to invite on stage right now COMENSA President Mohau Mpomela. Please welcome to the stage.
Rehema has already done the bulk of the work of what I should do, because mine would be exactly that, to welcome you this evening. I've already welcomed and opened a conference first thing this morning. So mine is still to continue to relish the moment, to savor the moment. As I was introduced by Rehema, my name is Mohau Mpomela, the president of Coaches and Mentors of South Africa. I always like to say it in full, because the meaning is embedded in all of that you understand fully who we are. Thank you for the kind words. You have already acknowledged not the distinguished or extinguished. You have already acknowledged them. Our board members, the visionaries we do have. This time around, those are the people I would like to start with. And when Rehema asked me, how would you like to be introduced? And I said, I am a teams-driven person. I always believe that it's never all about me or all about us till we make it all about us. That we work with people. You empower people. If you give them the opportunity to grow, trust me, they'll show you what they're made up of. The essence of tonight is exactly that. And I'll talk to that later on. And as you said, it takes a village. takes people to build a village. Once again, I'm truly honored and humbled to stand before you this evening. A wonderful gala dinner, I must say. We walked around here and we're looking at these premises. Once again, it was just a concept on paper. And when it translates to what one can really and truly see this evening, then you're left with one thing but admiration. But again, it was driven by a team and teams. Tonight is not about fine dining and elegant surroundings. It is about connections. We are coaches. It is about conversations, in as much as I said earlier in the morning, where our profession can come together. We have been yearning for this. As coaches, people have come to me and say, Mohau, we have been yearning for this. So please do connect. Share the moment with anyone and everyone closer to you, and even cross tables to engage and talk to each other. Tonight is about a celebration of an anniversary of 20 years, 2 decades of growing, promoting and advancing coaching and mentoring in South Africa. It is also an opportunity to acknowledge, to recognize and reward excellence within our profession and industry, which is long overdue. But it was fulfilling when one engages with the captains of this industry, and a lot of them have said, we needed this. I just couldn't believe it when Professor Terblanche, when you said this morning, and I'll quote you, you said, and you just have to look at his bio, that he has presented across the world on coaching and mentoring. But he said this was the first time that he presented in an occasion like this in South Africa. And I think that deserves a round of applause. For him to move all the way from Stellenbosch here in South Africa and present in South Africa for the first time, that should be telling you something. While we often attend conferences to learn, share, and grow professionally, evenings like this remind us of something equally important: the human side of things. And we're celebrating a journey. If today's sessions didn't challenge you to think, maybe the seating arrangement today or tonight in this dinner and the beautiful of evenings like this will encourage you to collaborate, to come out of your comfort zone, because in evenings like this, you could be sitting next to your mentor, a lifelong friend, or a business partner. Guess what? The person I'm sitting right next to on this table, we are neighbors. We're literally neighbors. And that's exactly what I mean. Allow me to take this moment to extend my sincere appreciation to the organizers, our sponsors, SACEP. Let me tell you, SACEP was the first one to climb on it. I must say, and I have to attest to that, and without any hesitation, immediately when we started seeking for sponsorship, SACEP was on board. And let's give SACEP a round of applause for that. No hesitation, no ifs and all of that. They were literally on this. And this show is literally showing you how this is long overdue. Nedbank also came on board to make this evening this evening happening, this conference happening. Our exhibitors who worked tirelessly with us, joined us to partner with us. Thank you so much for being part of this. I talked about teams. Just before we start this event, I had to walk the team leader of this conference. She was literally exhausted and worn out. I don't even think she is here back yet. Perfect. Madam Ali and your team, you are supported by the team of our Vice President, Madam Pomodisa Esi, board members, Madam Teresa Muilwa, Ms. Joyce Paloi, our CEO, Veronica Chrisman Kunie, our office administrator, Madam Tamara Naidu, two Gauteng chapter representatives of Madam Mutsidisi Litlonyane and Madam Puseletso Mudimokhale. Ladies, please stand up. The words thank you might not seem enough, but I thank you from the deepest part of my heart for the work done, the sterling work that was done. And I thank you so much. But this was part of the bigger plan, our Master of Ceremony. When the current board took over in 2024, in January we set ourselves a strategy. But not only that, like the many strategic documents that are there to, to tick the boxes, this one was different. This one was made of people and board members and driven by board members. Members sit in boards, in all sizes and shapes of boards. But what I've seen here, with what this team did and can still do, it is amazing. The board appointed a strategy task team. And that strategy task team was also led by yourself, Madam Farah Ali, with the following team members: our Vice President, Madam Pomodisa Esi, Mr. Sean Fenn, our Treasurer, Mr. Robin Stone, who is in East London and couldn't be here with us this evening, but later joined by the CEO, once again, Madam Veronica Chrisman Kronje. I would like to acknowledge those people, and please do stand up. And if you are repeated, it means it shows the amount of involvement you do have. Sean, Farah, VP, I can't see you. The light is just on my face. And this is the team that is behind what COMENSA is delivering at this point in time. I'm going close to an end. As we enjoy the rest of the evening, I encourage you to relax, connect, perhaps to step out of your usual cycles, as I've said. Because in the end, long after the presentations are over, it is the connections we build and memories we make in occasions like this that will last long. In closing, let's unwind after a long day of taking notes and taking pictures. These days you don't take notes. And I saw a lot of that today. So please, let's relax, sit down and enjoy and prepare ourselves again for the day ahead tomorrow. I thank you.
Thank you for those wise words of direction, aligning us with the ecosystem, the possibilities that are in the room. The fact that neighbors perhaps didn't drive here together, that's a different issue. But the reality that, again, it's in the ecosystem, it's in people showing up, people standing forward. For me, that's the kind of thing that connects you to any mission. The idea that a leadership represents that which they purport to be about. That a leadership can exist in that way themselves means that when you're called upon to support them in some way, it becomes very easy to say, yes, I will. I was smiling when you talked about the South African College of Applied Psychology, because I told you, I'm going to pepper tonight with memories of my own history. Because I think when we do that, we connect the story that we are in, that is unfolding, to our own personal stories. The why we are in this room, what brings me here, what connects me, what is my own personal narrative that allows me to identify with this particular environment. Well, I was that graduate who, after high school, decided I wanted to do psychology. About, let's not say our age, but 50 is already coming and going. And I remember my dad saying to me, psychology? Remember, my dad is an East African, so I can do the accents pretty well as well. Rehema, what do you mean you want to do psychology? What is that thing? You want to deal with mad people? I don't think he knew that his daughter was mad anyway. The love that parents have for their kids. I didn't do psychology, I did accounting, but look at me, where I ended up and the work I ended up doing. Go figure. You said something important about starting, and starting sounds like it's easy. But I've read somewhere, and I think those who always go to reference papers will probably Google it before I'm done with today, a saying that said that it's not necessarily starting that's the hard thing. What is hard is following. What is hard is not the person who has the idea, it's the first person that says, I will support you. And you mentioned that you had one of your first supporters in the South African College of Applied Psychology. I'd like to invite your silver sponsor, Leanne, the head of Faculty Management and Leadership from the South African College of Applied Psychology, Leanne Drummond, to say a few words.
Good evening, colleagues, members of COMENSA and fellow coaches. As already introduced, my name is Leanne Drummond. I'm head of the SACAP's Management and Leadership Faculty, as well as SACAP's School of Coaching. It's an absolute privilege to be here with you this evening. I won't keep you too long, so I know I stand between you and dinner. But before I go any further, I want to take a moment to firstly acknowledge two very important SACAP colleagues of mine in the room, Kaylin Philander and Nadia Janssen. Can you just stand up and just wave for me, please, so everybody can see you? So while I might be the one holding the mic tonight, they are very much the backbone of our School of Coaching. The work that they do behind the scenes is what brings our programs to life, supporting our students and educators and ensuring that there's quality in everything that we do. So firstly, a huge thank you and appreciation to both of you. What we do would not be possible without you. On behalf of SACAP and as a silver sponsor of the conference, I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to COMENSA, not only for the very important role that you've played over the last 20 years in terms of professionalizing and advancing the coaching and mentoring industry within South Africa, but also for our long-standing partnership between COMENSA and CECAP. Our partnership is a very meaningful one. CECAP was established in 1997, and we have been training coaches for almost 3 decades. The conference theme of Seeds to Significance feels especially fitting. In many ways, CECAP's own journey has unfolded alongside the establishment and growth of COMENSA. Over the years, our relationship with COMENSA has developed alongside the profession itself, together strengthening standards, deepening practice, and expanding impact. There are also very, very many real personal connections that reflect these shared roots in our joint history. Dr. Sunny Stout-Rostron, COMENSA's founding president, who we had the privilege of hearing from today, is also actually one of CECAP's longest-standing part-time faculty members and played a key role in the redevelopment of our coaching programs in 2012. Many of our alumni continue to shape the profession through their involvement with COMENSA, including Veronica Kitzman-Cronier, COMENSA's CEO, and one of the key driving forces of this conference. And in fact, many of the keynote speakers that we heard from today are also part of CECAP's story, whether that's past or present, whether they're practitioner educators, mentor coaches, or alumni. I was absolutely blown away to see this today. So therefore, it feels fitting for CECAP to be a sponsor of this inaugural COMENSA conference, and thank you for the opportunity to address you all this evening. We are proud to stand alongside a community so deeply committed to ethical practice, professional growth, and meaningful impact. For those of you who may not know CECAP, we are an established niche private higher education institution specializing in applied psychology. At CECAP, we believe that the value of psychology extends far beyond the traditional mental health care space. It has powerful application across a range of people-centered disciplines and contexts, such as industrial psychology, human resource management, business management, social work, education, to name but a few. In particular, our coach training programs explore coaching through the lens of applied psychology, while equipping our coaches with practical skills, self-awareness, and ethical grounding required to be impactful in their work. Our mission at CECAP is to educate for a better world. We are living in a world increasingly shaped by artificial intelligence, automation, and rapid technological advancement. And yet, alongside this, there's a growing recognition that what will truly differentiate individuals, teams, and organizations is not artificial intelligence, but human intelligence. The ability to understand ourselves and others, to build trust, to navigate complexity, to lead with empathy and insight. These are fundamentally human capabilities. And they are exactly what coaching and coach education aim to develop. Leadership, too, is being redefined. It is no longer enough to lead through expertise or authority alone. Today's leaders are required to have a far deeper understanding of human behavior and to be far more skilled in emotional intelligence. I believe we've been called to bring human intelligence back into the workplace, and this is our role as coaches. This is the context in which coaching becomes not just valuable, but increasingly essential. So rather than seeing this responsibility as daunting, I think it's something deeply inspiring. At CECAP, we see ourselves as partners in the shared mission, committed to developing conscious, capable coaches and leaders, and to contribute to the continued growth and the professionalization of coaching within South Africa. Thank you to COMENSA for the role you play within our industry, shaping standards, deepening professionalism, and building credibility for coaching and mentoring within South Africa. I know you have ambitions of becoming borderless, expanding into Africa, as does CECAP, so I'm looking forward to what this next chapter brings for both of us. However, tonight is a moment to pause, to celebrate not just 20 years of COMENSA, but the collective impact of this community, to connect, to reflect, and to recognize the passion and commitment in this room. Spaces like this reminds us that the work we do matters. The presence you bring, the questions you ask, and the space you hold all contribute to meaningful change for individuals, for organizations, and ultimately for society, often in ways that we don't fully see. I hope you enjoy the evening, I hope you enjoy the connections, and that you leave these 2 days and this evening both feeling inspired and energized for the important work that lies ahead of us. Thank you very much and enjoy the evening.
23 years ago, at the age of 27, I had started my first business. In starting my first business, I had no idea where to go. I had no idea who to turn to. At that point in time, entrepreneurship development was a nascent conversation. Entrepreneurship development was really looking at the businesses, and not many organizations were looking at the founders and what growth that they could have. It was really looking at what you were doing, what industries you were in, and how to move forward. I think with a lot of coaching and mentoring along the way, some of it obvious, some of it apparent, some of it you didn't even know you were being mentored, but the lessons were definitely landing. Your school fees were being paid by the bank calling you at very awkward times because things had gone wrong. Were very good indicators that some of these journeys are not meant to be walked alone. I think it gives me great pleasure to introduce the next guest who will be giving a keynote speech. And in listening to his introduction about himself, he said, the first thing he said to me is that I use my chartered accountancy skills differently. And the first thing I thought is, where were you when I was talking to my dad? Right? Because when I told my dad that I'm quitting the accountancy profession, he was like, and then what are you going to do? It was through the efforts and work of people like Mark, starting up in spaces, coaching, mentoring, and he says his journey started off with Black Umbrellas. I think a lot of us at that time were very familiar with the work that they were doing. We actually wished that we were connected to certain programs. The thing is about programs like that is, and like many things that happen, is that impact is not overnight. Impact is not necessarily seen the next day. The kind of work that was done 23 years ago on entrepreneurs like myself helped to shape and define and also direct the trajectory that we eventually took. It gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to invite to speak Mark Frankel.
Well, I feel doubly pressured now. Firstly, Leanne mentioned she's between her speech and dinner, so that puts me in an awkward predicament. And when Farah first called me to speak, I asked her how long I need to speak for. She said 25 minutes. We had a meeting around the event and went through the program, and then she said 20 minutes. And now I see on the program it's 10 minutes. So it's going to be a bit longer than 10 minutes. I apologize for that. And this is the way the speech is. So good evening, distinguished guests, not distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, the amazing COMENSA members, and friends of coaching and mentoring across our beautiful country. Tonight, I've been asked to speak on From Seed to Significance, which is the theme of the conference, the legacy and future of youth entrepreneurship in Africa through coaching and mentoring. I'm deeply honored and grateful to have the opportunity to speak to you tonight, and doubly so given that a grey-bearded man has been asked to speak on youth entrepreneurship. One who's also got notes and not an iPad or a cell phone. Let me begin with a question. When last did you hold a seed in your hand? Not a metaphorical seed, an actual seed. Perhaps a pumpkin pip, a bean, a kernel of maize. Dry, unremarkable, tiny, insignificant. And yet everything is already in there. The entire architecture of the plant, the potential for 100 harvests, the blueprints of nourishment for families not yet born. And yet, the seed is not significant by itself. It needs soil, it needs water, it needs warmth. And here is where it gets interesting for the room tonight. It needs someone who knows how to tend to seeds, someone who has seen seeds grow, who has made mistakes, learned, and is willing to stay through the process long after the planting is done. I have spent the better part of my career working in the soil. As co-founder and CEO of Black Umbrellas, or ex-CEO, I suppose now, I had the extraordinary privilege and humbling responsibility of working with thousands of emerging Black-owned businesses in the most critical and vulnerable years of their existence. And if there's one thing that 2 decades in enterprise development has taught me, it's this: just as important as it is to select the correct seeds, it's equally as important to provide the right conditions for them to grow. Tonight, I want to talk to you about those conditions, about the seeds that are Africa's young entrepreneurs, and about us, the coaches and mentors who have chosen to be the soil, the water, and the light. I want to talk about legacy, and I want to talk about the future. And I promise you, by the time that I am done, you will never look at your work the same way again. Let us start with some numbers that should both thrill and trouble us. More than 60% of Africa's population is already under the age of 25. And by 2035, which is just 9 years away, more young Africans will be entering the workforce each year than in the rest of the world combined, every single year. Meanwhile, here in South Africa, youth unemployment for those aged 15 to 34 currently exceeds 46%. Nearly 1 in every 2 young people, educated or not, talented or not, willing or not, is locked out of economic participation. The formal labor market has spoken. It cannot absorb the scale of young ambition that this continent is producing. And yet, and this is where this continent is extraordinary, research from the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor and Youth Business International found that as many as 60% of 18 to 34-year-olds believe that they have what it takes to start a business. Compare that to just 17% in the European Union. The entrepreneurial spirit is alive, ablaze even on the African continent. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Aspiration without accompaniment is not enough. I know this not as theory, but as lived experience. At Black Umbrellas, we have seen what happens when a talented young entrepreneur steps into the marketplace without proper support. We have watched businesses with genuine potential collapse, not because the founder lacked ability, but because no one helped them navigate the gap between an idea and a sustainable enterprise. Without assistance, as many as 70% of small and medium enterprises in South Africa fail within their first 2 years. 70%. That is not a market failure. That is a mentorship failure, a coaching failure, a systemic failure to surround ambition with the skill that it needs to survive. And this, my friends, is precisely where you come in. This is why COMENSA matters. This is why this room matters tonight. I want to debunk a comfortable but damaging myth. The myth that coaching and mentoring is a luxury, a value add, something nice that happens after the real work of business development is done. It is not. It is the work. When I co-founded Black Umbrellas, we quickly discovered something that upended our initial assumptions. We had come in thinking that what emerging entrepreneurs needed most was office space, capital, and training. Give them office infrastructure, the money and the knowledge, and they would fly. But what we found time and time again cohort after cohort, was that the businesses which truly broke through were the ones with a mentor who stayed. Not a workshop, not a webinar, not a manual, a person, a skilled, committed, present human being who walked alongside the entrepreneur through the uncertainty, the self-doubt, and the setbacks. I'm going to take a bit of a segue from the speech and maybe just share the story about how Black Umbrella started, because I think it's a good example of planting a seed and what can grow, and also how Black economic empowerment can have a positive impact. So once upon a time, many years ago, I was finance director of a company called Master Currency, which was a bureau de change company started by South Africa's great but lesser known entrepreneurs, KK Kombi. So we were one of the few Black-owned financial services companies in South Africa at that stage. We're looking at 2002, thereabouts. Joined in 1999, but became finance director in 2002. And one of the requirements for the bureau de change leases at the airports, which was obviously a very valuable place to be, was the level of Black ownership within the company. So because we were Black-owned and one of the very few Black-owned, we secured leases at Cape Town International and Johannesburg International. And then in 2005, along came the BE codes. And part of the BE codes was this thing called enterprise development, which nobody had done before and nobody knew how to do. So I have this wonderful friend who's also quite crazy. He's a crazy social entrepreneur by the name of Charles Maisel. So I spoke to Charles and I said, what can we do, in terms of this enterprise development requirement? So he came up with this concept called Mr. Poloni. And what we did is we decided to set up this business, Mr. Poloni, in a container in Gugulethu, with support from the Master Currency back-end function. So the marketing department would do the marketing, the finance department would help with the finances. But the only problem was we couldn't get an electricity connection to the container. So we had an extension cord which we plugged into the neighbor's house. And then the woman would vacuum her house at night and pull out the plug, which is not great in a cold meat business. So it didn't last very long. But I think what we saw was that there was a need in terms of supporting entrepreneurs. And one of the things that we decided was, as I mentioned earlier, that it was important to have office space because a lot of entrepreneurs were running out of coffee shops, the boots of their cars, etc. They didn't have a formal recognized address. So we said, well, let's open a space, they can have an address, and then let's provide office infrastructure. So they've got a desk, they've got a computer, they've got a reception service. So we didn't have much money. So we found some space. I don't know if you know Cape Town, but Lower Main Road, kind of going into Woodstock, where you've got the bridge that goes over to the N1. So there was a building on the corner there, which had very reasonable space on the third floor of the building. But unfortunately, there was an auto shop on the first floor, there was a Nigerian charismatic church on the second floor, and then we were on the third floor, and there was a drug dealer about 2 doors down from the block. So Wednesday afternoon, nobody could do any work because the Nigerian charismatic church had their services. And every week, the drug dealer would get bussed down the road, and the road would be cordoned off, and people couldn't get to their office. And one of the first businesses that came to be supported walked up the stairs, and she said she saw this white guy sitting at the desk at the door and all these black people sitting around, and she said, it's got to be a scam. And she walked away, but fortunately she came back. So we started, we planted the seed, we started to get things done. And then Charles met Donna Nicol and Yvonne Temba from the Shanduka Group, which was the president's former company. And they had started a foundation. So the president set aside 5% of Shanduka for the foundation. And they were to have 3 focuses: one on education, which was the Adopt a School program, which is still going today and doing a lot of amazing work. And even that started with the president donating a fax machine to his old school, and the whole program evolved from there. And then they provided tertiary bursaries for students, and they had a small business development focus. And they came across Black Umbrellas. They liked what they saw. They funded us. Black Umbrellas became Shanduka Black Umbrellas. They funded the opening of the Johannesburg incubator. The Jobs Fund funded the opening of the Durban incubator. And slowly we grew from there up till 9 incubators across South Africa. And that all stemmed from the BE codes, effectively. And Black Umbrellas over the years has supported 2,500 entrepreneurs. We've generated over 3 billion rand in turnover. So it's had an impact. But now back to the speech. So I was talking about the importance of mentoring. So on a continental scale, the Tony Elumelu Foundation arrived at the same conclusion. They committed $100 million in seed capital over 10 years and trained over 20,000 entrepreneurs. And the critical differentiating factor between those who survived and those who thrived, not the capital, the mentorship, the sustained, skilled human accompaniment. You see, capital will only take you so far. Technology will give you tools. Business incubators will give you space. But none of these can do what a skilled coach or mentor can do, which is to ask the question that cracks the ceiling open, to hold the mirror, to help a young entrepreneur discover what they already know, but have not yet dared to believe. And nowhere is that distinction more important than with the young, first-generation entrepreneurs on this continent. Because what many of them need first is not the business plan, it's permission. Permission to believe that someone who looks like them, who grew up where they grew up, who carries a particular history they carry, can build something that lasts. A great coach gives that permission, not by telling them, but by asking and listening and staying. I want to share some of what I've witnessed over the years. I think about these people more than they probably know. I've sat across the table from a young woman running a digital marketing and software development company who arrived at our incubator almost apologetically, as if she was not quite sure she had the right to be there. She had the skills, she had the clients. What she did not have was the belief that she could grow beyond what she could personally manage. Over months of mentoring, real, rigorous, relationship-based mentoring, she did not just grow her business, she grew her sense of herself as a leader. She hired, she systemized, she stopped apologizing for taking up space. That transformation did not come from a workshop. It came from someone who kept asking her, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? I've watched a young man from a township background take a security services business from 20,000 Rand a month in revenue to over 650,000 Rand a month, and grow his team from over 3 to 70 employees, because the Black Umbrellas program surrounded him with the right mentors at the right time. Johnson Bongani Fetboy went on to win the Black Umbrellas Entrepreneur of the Year award. But he will tell you himself, the award was the moment of recognition. The mentor was the moment of change. These are not exceptional stories. They are stories that happen everywhere, across the continent, across every sector, every community, when we create the right conditions. From the fintech hubs of Lagos to the creative economy of Nairobi, from the agricultural innovators of Rwanda to the fashion entrepreneurs of Johannesburg, young Africans are building the future, one uncertain, courageous step at a time. And the common thread in every story of genuine breakthrough, there was someone, a coach, a mentor, a trusted person who showed up with skill, with presence, and with belief. That is the legacy we are building in the room tonight. Not just individual success stories, but a culture, a professional culture of accompaniment, of saying, you do not have to figure this out alone. Now, some of what I have said may have been interesting, but let's also be honest. Let me offer us a challenge. For all the extraordinary work that coaches and mentors are doing across this continent, we have a reach problem. And I think that was also discussed in the sessions today, effectively, the importance of us reaching across the African continent. Approximately $1 billion is spent annually on entrepreneurship training in developing countries. And yet the evidence suggests that this return on this investment are far below what we would hope. Why? Because training is not coaching. Information is not transformation. A workshop can change what someone knows. Only a skilled coach can change what someone believes about themselves. At Black Umbrellas, this distinction shaped everything we built. Our model was not a course, it was a journey, a structured multi-year journey of guided growth that includes business development support, access to networks and procurement opportunities, and at its core, consistent mentoring relationships. The program runs for up to 3 years because we understood early on that sustainable businesses are not built in the weekend. They are built in the long and glamorous middle, and that is exactly where a great mentor earns their worth. But I want to ask us all, and I pose this question to everyone in the room tonight. Are we reaching the young entrepreneurs who need us most? Or are there seeds we have not yet reached? Communities still waiting for what we have to offer? COMENSA's vision to be a premier professional home, shaping the future of coaching and mentoring in Africa, carries with it a responsibility to reach beyond our current circles, to build bridges into townships, into rural communities, into universities and TVET colleges, to find ways to make coaching and mentoring not just a service that organizations buy, but a culture that communities own. At Black Umbrellas, we learned that reaching the hardest to reach entrepreneurs requires intentional design. It requires virtual platforms and physical presence. It requires volunteer mentors who are willing to show up not just once, but consistently. It requires us to stop waiting for entrepreneurs to find us and to go and find them. I believe COMENSA, with its national footprint, its SACWA recognition, and its community of credentialed professionals, has the architecture to do this. The next chapter is ours to write. So what does significance look like? Let me paint you a picture of 2035, of the Africa we can build together. It is an Africa where 450 million young people entering the workforce are not just job seekers, they are job creators, where every aspiring young entrepreneur, regardless of postcode, has access to a skilled, and this was also a word that was used a lot today, a skilled, ethical, credentialed coach or mentor who walks with them through the valley of uncertainty and into the light of sustainable enterprise. It is an Africa where the model that Black Umbrellas and organizations like it have been testing and refining for 2 decades. The model that says structured, sustained, relationship-based support transforms lives and economies. It is no longer the exception, it is the norm. It is an Africa where coaching and mentoring are not extras on the development agenda. They are central to it, where COMENSA's reach extends not just into the boardrooms of South Africa's great corporations, but into the hearts of communities from Cape Town to Cairo. It is in Africa where the seeds we plant tonight, the relationships, the skills, the commitments we make, will one day be the shade of the wisdom tree under which the next generation of entrepreneurs builds. Because that is what legacy really means. Legacy is not what we leave behind. Legacy is who we leave behind. It is the young entrepreneur in 5 years' time who, when someone asks how she made it, says, there was this coach and she believed in me before I believed in myself. Before I close, I want to say something directly to COMENSA as an organization and to every one of its members in this room. You are not just a professional body. You are, at best, a movement that says human potential is not a fixed quantity, that with the right questions, the right presence, and the right relationship, something dormant can become something magnificent. COMENSA was established in 2006, 20 years ago, as the only SACWA-recognized professional body for coaching and mentoring in South Africa. In those 20 years, you have built standards, you have built ethics, you have built a community of practitioners who take this work seriously. Black Umbrellas was also born out of a 20-year conviction that Black-owned small businesses deserve more than sympathy. They deserve skilled, sustained support. That enterprise and supplier development is not charity. It is investment in people, in potential, in a country that cannot afford to waste either. I believe our two worlds, the world of professional coaching and mentoring and the world of enterprise and supplier development, are not just complementary, they are incomplete without each other. The incubator without the coach is just a building. The coach without the entrepreneur is just a practice. Together, we are a transformation engine. Now in your 20th year, I want to invite COMENSA to build bridges between the credential and the community, between the practitioner and the young person who has never heard the word coach, but desperately needs what it has to offer. Your conference theme this year speaks of moving from seed to significance. Tonight, I hope you feel the weight of that phrase, not as a slogan, but as a calling. Significance is not achieved, it is grown, slowly, patiently, with intention, with skill, and with the kind of love that does not need to take credit for the harvest that it produces. I want to bring you back to that seed. Every person in this room is holding a seed tonight. Perhaps you don't know it yet. Perhaps it is a young entrepreneur you haven't met yet. Perhaps it is a school leaver in your neighborhood. Perhaps it is a niece, a nephew, a child of a friend who is bursting with an idea they don't yet have the courage to speak aloud. I have held thousands of those seeds over the years at Black Umbrellas, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, you cannot look at a seed and know what tree it will become. You can only create the conditions and then trust the process. That is the whole art and the whole science of what we do. They need soil. They need water. They need the warmth of someone who knows how to ask the right question at the right time. They need you. Not the version of you that is tired or cautious or wondering whether the impact is worth the effort. They need the version of you that came to coaching and mentoring because you believed, deeply, essentially believed, that human beings are capable of more than they know. That belief is your gift, and Africa's young entrepreneurs are waiting for it. Somewhere, someone is one conversation away from finally believing they can. Congratulations to all the award recipients this evening that's coming up. Congratulations to COMENSA on 20 years of growing coaching and mentoring profession in South Africa. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for the extraordinary work that each of you does, one conversation at a time, to move this continent from seed to significance. Kia leboka, Diabonga, Nkosi, Baie dankie. Thank you.
Mark spoke about growing into the rest of the continent. And you made me smile when you said, doing work with the greats and understanding what different developments are happening on the continent, particularly when you mentioned Tony Elemelu. And the first time I heard his name, it was from a French associate. And she says to me, Rema, tu ne sais pas Tony Elemelu? And I said to her, non, ma chérie, qui est-ce? And she's like, Tony Elemelu, tu ne le sais pas? I said, no, chérie. Of course, I'm just, flossing now. So I know French. and I didn't know who he was. And it was an awakening moment. I think for me as a South African entrepreneur, and I identify as a South African entrepreneur, I identified this African saying that we have, "Go tsamaya ke go bona." That's a Tswana saying. And that Tswana says, to travel is to see. And let's expand that. To travel is to see is to know. And I think that for me encapsulates part of the message that you were sharing, that the role of mentors is actually more than an invitation for us to reflect. It's actually a challenge, and understanding that mentors are sitting with insights and information and perspectives because of experience, exposure, continuous education that provides a perspective. And what a challenge it is to sit in a room, not just to sit complacently, because entrepreneurs or whoever you're engaging with is actually asking for insights or looking for ways of looking at things that they haven't looked at them before. So a challenge to all of us to continuously going out, seeing more, and taking that knowledge in and understanding how we can translate it back. My parents had a thing. We lived in Botswana for many years, I think almost 30. And they had a thing that every 2 years, because there were contractors in Botswana, every 2 years we'd take a trip. We would literally drive from Gaborone to Dar es Salaam, which meant you would travel from every city between Gaborone and stop in about 400 kilometers away, spend the night, be able to see the people there, the cultures, hear the language, see the animals. So we came out with a rich perspective of the differences of where we are, but it also gave us a rich perspective of not only how different we are, how similar we are. Why do I share the similarity? Because sometimes, even as we're looking to share and to transform, we look not just for the differences and where we can do things differently, but how we can actually do them the same, but actually create a bit more meaning in it. You shared a story of an ecosystem that supports the growth. But I think for me, what stood out is that we don't necessarily know the systems that we're putting in place and whether or not they're going to work. The power of time, the power of transcending this moment and understanding that it could change tomorrow, it could change the next day. And for me, that asked for me to ask a question of resilience. How do we, as coaches and mentors, withstand that, understanding that that which is our absolute truth today may not be an absolute truth tomorrow because circumstances have changed? The statistics you shared around just the youth profile, again, this is where I claim my Gen Z parenthood. The language, the ideologies, the philosophies, and the perspectives and what they're able to tolerate, want to tolerate, how to look at the world, may not have the answers that we woke up with today, may not have the perspective and direction that we were driving with today, but it has to start somewhere, because that's what the power is of creating architectures, infrastructures that allow us to have a base point from which to grow from. That invitation reminded me of the first time I opened up a business. And as I invite the next speaker to speak about, as the next sponsor, I leave you with this little perspective that I had, that when I started my first business, trained accountant, MBA, I could write the perfect business plan, which meant I actually got funded for my first business. It failed in a year. And the hardest thing was not just the failure, but was dealing with what it meant and how I translated what it meant for me. So one of the things I appreciate in the journey of mentoring and coaching is this notion of sponsorship. We're grateful to bring on stage today one of the sponsors, Nedbank, and to speak about Nedbank is Ms. Abasha Govender. Please help me welcome her to stage.
Good evening, everyone. It really is wonderful to see so many passionate mentors, coaches, partners, colleagues in one room. On behalf of Nedbank, thank you for being here and thank you for the work that you do every day. We are proud to partake in this conference and even prouder to stand alongside people who are committed to growing others. At Nedbank, we often talk about purpose, about using our financial expertise to do good. But if I'm being honest, purpose only becomes real when it shows up in people's lives. And mentoring and coaching are some of the most powerful ways that happens. Most of us can think of someone who changed our path, not because they had all the answers, but because they had time to listen, to challenge us, or to believe in us when we doubted ourselves. Someone who asked a simple question at the right time or said, "You've got this," when we weren't so sure. That's the quiet power of mentoring and coaching. We are living in complex times. Work is demanding. Expectations are high. Many people are navigating uncertainty, pressure, and change, sometimes all at once. Titles and experience no longer prepare us for this reality. What really makes the difference is guidance, self-awareness, resilience, and human connection. This is where you come in. Mentors and coaches don't just help people perform better, but you help them make sense of their journey. You help them see possibilities they couldn't see on their own. Sometimes you give clarity. Sometimes you simply create a safe space to think out loud. Both are equally valuable. At Nedbank, we believe mentoring and coaching are not nice to haves, they are essential. They help us build leaders who are confident but humble, capable but compassionate. They support transformation, not just in numbers, but in lived experience. They help us ensure that talent from all backgrounds has a fair chance to grow and succeed. This conference is therefore more than an event. It's a pause, a chance to reflect on how we show up for others and how we can do that even better. It's an opportunity to learn from one another, to share what's working and what isn't, and to remind ourselves why this work matters. As we engage today, I encourage us to be honest with ourselves. Are we truly listening or just advising? Are we challenging people with care and courage? Are we mentoring with intention or only when it's convenient? The truth is, leadership is not about having all the answers. It's about having the willingness to walk alongside someone as they figure things out. And every single person in this room has the ability to make a lasting impact, often in moments that feel small at times. Nedbank's support of this conference reflects our belief in long-term value. When we invest in people, the returns go far beyond the organization. They show up in stronger teams, healthier cultures, and more sustainable communities. As we spend time together today, I hope you leave feeling inspired, equipped, and reminded of the difference you make. On behalf of Nedbank, I wish you a meaningful, engaging, and impactful conference. Thank you.
You know you're old when you can say, yo, that was my first employer there in financial services speaking. Time has come a long way. I met the next speaker in the middle of the night, around about 2 o'clock. The lights were off. It was dark. I'd been sitting in my bed, cushy in my pillow, scrolling. And this gentleman is there saying, you know where men get it wrong in relationships? Tell me more. And he says, yeah, in marriage, people get it wrong. And he spoke to me, hey? He spoke to me deeply. Jiggy, he turned on me. You know what women get wrong? You've lost the plot. It's a great pleasure to introduce the next speaker, who introduced himself as a village boy who's grown up against all odds. He's put in the program as a motivational speaker. I think my personal experience, no, I don't know him from a bar of soap. He's happily married. Apparently he's got 5 kids, ne? So he's happily married with 5 kids. And what I do know, what he does, is that he provokes thought. He allows us to sit with the comfort of our own thoughts, get married to them, and actually allows us to sit back and say, but reflect. The mirror presents 2 sides. And without further ado, I'd like to invite Jabu Zwane as your next speaker.
That introduction will get a married man in trouble. It's like, what, 2 a.m. in your bed scrolling, what? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing this evening? All right. I would like for us to take a moment to stand up and give a massive, massive, massive round of applause for the 20 years. That's not a small thing. Let's do it together. Come on. If you can you late. Come on, let's go. Yes. 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 Please have a seat. It's important to celebrate achievements, yes? Isn't this what we coaches do all the time? You must celebrate the small things. But tonight it's a massive thing that we need to celebrate. Yes, my name is Jabu Zwane. And I want to start off just with giving a bit of, I need to move. It's going to restrict me quite a bit. Can I yank it off here? It won't go quiet at some point. Okay. I want to start off with just explaining how I got to be here. I grew up in the Free State, small town. Yes, it is a Free Starter. So I'm one of those black guys wat Afrikaans kan praat. And not dodgy ne, die versigtig Afrikaans, not die Gauteng Afrikaans. One of those, you had to know Afrikaans back in those apartheid years, especially when those boys were chasing you on the horses, coming from town. You had to be able to say, oh no, possibly. I'm kidding, joking. But I grew up in the Free State, and I grew up typically back in the days quite poor. So when I finished my matric, after being one of the first batch of the black guys that went to the white school, and in case you're wondering, no, this is not the accent from back there. I'll explain the accent at some point. I know some of you are interested in like, what's going on, what's the trend? But anyway, it's coming. After matric, I didn't know where to go. Honestly, as a typical poor black kid, I didn't know where my mother was. I didn't know where my father was. My grandfather had just passed away. I had my matric exemption, and I had absolutely no clue what was the next step for me. And then I went to my school where they had held my matric certificate because I didn't have money to pay for my school fees that year. And I explained to my teacher, to the principal, hey, listen, I need to go look for work, and this is what happened, and he felt sorry for me. But then he said, I've got a brother in Pretoria. My brother, I think, would be able to help you. His name is Nico de Klerk. And then a couple of weeks later, this principal passes away. And I was like, But a couple of weeks later, I get a phone call from next door, which is the number that I'd left at the school. And they said, I must come to the school. When I get to the school, they gave me the number of Mr. Nico de Klerk. But I didn't have the money to call Mr. de Klerk for some time. And then eventually I got a phone call from, again, next door, and they said it was him. And he tells me, I am your school principal's brother. He told me about you, and I could help you, and when can you come to Joburg? And one day there I was, one-way ticket to Joburg, and I get to the spot at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm waiting for Mr. de Klerk. And every car that passes with a white guy I'm like, is that him? Is that him? And then he comes around 5 o'clock in the evening, this man. And then at that point, he stops the car and he says, is it Yabulani? You know, of course, Yabulani, not Jabulani. I was like, yeah, man, you're this actor. I was like screaming, making sure that he gets it, that it's me. And then I found my way to Pretoria. The reason why I'm sharing that story is because it is through Mr. de Klerk that I got introduced to coaching. And in fact, I realized much later that he was my first coach and my first mentor. And I agree with you. If it weren't for the fact that he stuck around with me for a couple of years, I don't know what would have happened to me. He's the first man that introduced me to entrepreneurship, started me on some biltong business called Biltong for Africa, and I was selling stuff in the stadiums, at the traffic lights, at different schools. And then you realize it's not working, this 10 Rand biltong packet for 1 Rand profit. Eventually, he told me about waitering, and I started my first waitering job. And I got to learn about lasagna. Smells like feet. At least to me. And I got to learn about bolognese. And I got to learn about pizza and pasta and all of these things. But then a couple of years later, something happens quite tragic. And I find myself in a bad situation again. And then Mr. de Klerk says to me, you know what? There's something called professional speaking. And then he introduces me to the Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa. And again, I get introduced to an industry that would transform my life. I'm sharing that story because as I was reading about the COMENSA story, one word stuck out to me, and the word is access. To make coaching accessible. And access is what most people need. Access to opportunities, access to people, access to environment, access to education, access to empowerment. And that's exactly what Mr. de Klerk did for me. He didn't sit with me and took me all over the place. He would just bring me in close proximity to places and introduced me to people. My first speech that I ever did was actually in front of, it wasn't actually in front of her per se, but she was in South Africa, Queen Elizabeth. And there was some kind of a dinner where that was held in her honor. And he asked me to speak about just my journey. And that was my first public speech. And this is at the time where I still struggled with communication. As a matter of fact, he used to complain so much about how I used to mumble. And when we were going to this waitering job, I remember we were in the car, and he was looking at me, and he said to me, Jabulani, can you just please speak up when you meet this lady? Like, you must speak up, otherwise you're not going to get the job. And then I get to Menlyn. I'm walking up the stairs. There was this restaurant that was called Burgundy's. And here walks this beautiful white lady. She's wearing about a cream white suit. I remember very well. She was so clean. It freaked me out how clean she was. And then he introduces me to her. He says, this is Mary Ann. And then I extended my hand and I screamed my name into her ear. And she says, do you have to shout? In my head, I was thinking, yeah, I have to. I need the job, woman. I'm not about to mumble and fumble this job. And from that boy that stuttered growing up and that mumbled, that would not speak because he lacked confidence, to the boy that I am today, who has graced multiple global stages, who's had the opportunity to conduct facilitation somewhere on the 58th floor in some Manhattan hotel looking at the Trump Towers, to doing training under trees in Uganda. And all of that is because of what? Access. And this is what I think all of us have to think about is that with all the privileges that we've got, with all opportunities that we have, with all the knowledge that we have, with all that we possess in abundance, other than those to whom we have a duty to give access, who else do we give access to? Because if it weren't for that experience for me, I don't know if I would have been able to do what I've been able to do. I started what I call the Mindset Development Institute, which is basically where I've done a lot of mentoring programs for a lot of young people from different kinds of backgrounds because I understood what was done for me. Maybe for you, nobody had done it for you. And similarly to also Nico. Nico, by the way, was kicked out of the NGK because he was a troublemaker back during the time of apartheid. And I want to share with you, as we commemorate and we celebrate this 20 years, what I believe we are as coaches. I had no clue about this in this profession until I met Nico. And I actually realized that back in 2000, Nico was actually an emotional intelligence coach. And a seed was planted, I suppose. And it was germinated much, much later when I found myself, after a tragedy, absolutely having nowhere to go. And then I find out about the industry. And I found out it's the industry where pretty much all of my colorful life, where it can be lived out in different roles. Before that day when I walked into PSA SA, my son had just been kicked out of school. A couple of years before that, after I had my South African dream, living in the Pretoria East, having 2 cars, 2 children, going to a private school, having traveled multiple countries and flying business classes, I found myself without a job. I found myself as a widower of 3 kids. Having been a pastor, having left my work, not earning any income, absolutely no clue what to do with these 3 kids. And I found out about the industry. I found out, oh wow, there's like a 5-point-something billion rand industry, $1 billion industry, where what literally has been my life can be a way of generating an income. In the beginning, it was a survival thing. But then I very soon found out it was going to be the most challenging, most transforming experience of my life. I found out that instead of me becoming a coach and coming to transform people's lives, that with every question I asked, it actually a question that was asked back to me. With every statement I made, it was more of holding myself accountable. I remember there was a point where I started feeling like maybe I should start asking questions and making statements because it's too much of a mirror that is being held up to my own face. And what I want us to think about is, who are we as coaches? Who are we? Mark spoke about the importance of questions, and I think it was pretty much the theme that I heard about questions. And I found out, as I was challenged to help other people, that the only way that I could help them is if I myself get helped. And the 5 key questions that I kept asking myself that I kept seeing, which was the question that I kept asking myself growing up, was that, do I matter? At the end of the day, if we're going to be coaching people, we have to ask that question. Do the people that we're coaching matter? And the second question becomes, for what? For what do I matter? I grew up in an environment where I felt I was used all the time. And I wondered if I could not do the things that I was made to do as a kid, that I was made to do even as an employee, would I matter to anyone? And that's the second question. For what do I matter? And if the people that we're helping matter only to us because they can pay our hourly rate, they very quickly figure that out. And is that how I want to matter? And lastly, if that is not how I want to matter, then should I change it? And it made me understand the following, that as coaches, it's very important for us to become not just listeners, but to become deep listeners. Yes, deep listeners. And the sad thing that I noticed many times, and I saw that with myself, is that because so many of us have spent so much of our time, of our lives not being listened to, sometimes we can use the coaching process as the time to talk about ourselves. And when we do that, then we miss the mark. So we need to be able to learn, to learn beyond, or to listen beyond words. To listen to the things that those that need our help are not able to articulate, right? Leanne spoke about the importance of human intelligence, and it made me think of one of the 3 AIs I speak about, 3 human AIs, and one of those is articulation intelligence. When you're listening to people and they're struggling to communicate, they're struggling to navigate the complexity of their humanity and the experiences, that we develop and we come up with words and we give them words to communicate their difficult life experiences. And so then it is important for us to listen deeply beyond words. The second is that it's important for us to develop the cultural intelligence. One of the opportunities that I've had through my life, and thank you again to Nico for the access, is that through the church environment, I've been able to travel to multiple countries. And I've had situations where I've had to mediate between tribes. I know one of the most interesting situations that I've had was I traveled to the northern part of Uganda. For some of you may know, there's a gentleman called, I don't call him gentleman, but anyway, David Coney. David Coney is in the FBI. He's in the top 10 most wanted FBI. Back in the time of the wars, he was he led a rebel movement that was called the Lord's Army. I mean, they were cruel, most evil kind. One village apparently told the police and the government where they were, and then they couldn't find them, and then he came back and cut off the lips of some of the villages and the limbs of some of the villages. And we got an opportunity to be in that area, and I was asked to come in to mediate a fight that was happening between tribes. And I couldn't even speak. They speak Luo in that part of the world. But gave me an opportunity to experience humanity in so many multiple facets. As a pastor, I pastored a multiracial church in Pretoria East. I also started a church in the township, whilst at the same time running a business in some mall in Pretoria North. And whilst at the very same time also teaching at different colleges in different countries. And I'm sharing all this again to emphasize the importance of what? Of access. And it is there that I learned about cultural intelligence. And cultural intelligence does not happen without human intelligence. And human intelligence understanding that all of us as humans, we are exactly the same. We experience shame, pain, hurt, excitement, joy, hope, enthusiasm. All of is exactly the same, but the sources of those are different. What makes you happy, what makes me happy may be 2 different things. What hurts me and what hurts you may be 2 different things. And I think one of the greatest challenges that we have in the world today is because we're trying to create a uniformity around what should make each other happy. That's why when I felt I was flipping on you. Because one of my observations was exactly that, is that there's certain things that make me happy. As an empath, I get great joy in serving people. I get great joy. I get so much love from serving people. If ever there was a threat to my marriage, is because of the love that I receive from loving others. Because it's something that my wife can never give me. And that's cultural intelligence. And my question to you is that as you're doing all these models and you're trying to help people, are you paying attention to the human experiences of the people that you're helping? Are you paying attention to what makes them sad? Are you paying attention to what makes them get stuck? Are you paying attention to what gets them to look forward to certain things? Because if you don't understand the prompts, if you don't understand the sources, you're going to be trying to push your own onto them. The other point that I want to say is powerful questioning. Along with listening comes the questions. I can almost tell where the person is simply by the questions that they're asking. Can tell. And my question to you is, as you continue to transform the people in the world, what questions are you asking? 2004, a group of people got together and they started asking questions. How can we serve our country? How can we ensure that this industry that is helping people can be professionalized? And 2 years later, a seed was planted and COMENSA was started. Because of the questions that were asked. Because you see, if you're asking the wrong questions, you're going to have the wrong answers. The wrong answers are going to give you, so the wrong questions are going to give you the wrong answers. The wrong answers are going to end up leading to wrong decisions, and wrong decisions, wrong outcomes. So what questions are you asking? Commitment to growth, especially to personal growth. It soon became very clear to me as I started coaching, as I started mentoring, as I started, keynoting and speaking and realizing, oh my goodness, this is about me more than it is about other people. It's about me. It's about the gaps that are in me. As much as I may get great gratification in getting the compliments when people are saying, oh, yo, I never thought of it that way, man. You've heard those, right? If you haven't heard those, then I doubt your coaching. If you've never heard your client say to you, I've never thought of it that way, you must go to CAP for some more coaching training. When people start saying, I was in this interview or I was in this situation and I could hear you say to me, I would ask myself, what would coach say? If that has not happened and if they have not said that to you, hey, Mr. President, I think we need more training if that hasn't happened. And the other thing I want to say to you is, or another point I want to share with you is commitment to growth and then courageous conversations. One of the work that I got the privilege to do because of this vast experience I've explained is in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion. There was one incident one time in the US, and it was a whole bunch of us, 32 facilitators, some from Canada, a couple from South Africa, quite a few from the USA, and a few from Australia. And we got stuck. We got stuck because as we were debriefing, everybody they really got emotional. They got emotional because it was so personal. It was so personal to them. And as we were going through the emotions, something came and I thought to myself, okay guys, you know what? Can we sing a song? Like what? I'm like, yeah, can we sing a song? Because I remembered back in SA, when we are sad, we sing. When we're angry, we sing. When we're excited, we sing. There's something about singing that calms down our nervous system so that we can be able to get out of ourselves, be able to get out of our own heads. And as I'm landing the plane, I'm thinking, who are we as coaches? We are the ones who give people's voices when they struggle to speak up. We are the ones who lend people our confidence when they struggle to get their own. We are the ones who help others to become courageous when they're afraid. We are the ones who build bridges sometimes when people themselves are divided within themselves. We're the ones many times who stand in the gap. There are times in our coaching process where the people are stuck, but we cannot afford to get stuck and we got to stand in the gap. Who are we as coaches? We're the ones who ignite the passion buried deep in people's insecurities. We're the ones that many times when people come to us confused, sad, depressed, in the pivotal moment, then we become that turning point. As coaches, we are that turning point. In a world where there are so many voices trying to tell people what to think, what to be, we are the ones that help people to find their voices. In a world that tells people to be more uniform, to be like others, we are the ones that help people to find their authenticity. Yes, we understand that authenticity is the most important and most valuable element of people's currency. And we get it that until somebody is able to find their own authenticity, it'll be very difficult for them to find their purpose. And yes, we are the ones that help people to find their purpose, because we understand until such time that a person finds their purpose, they'll constantly question the reason of their existence. For me, this is what coaching has done. I did not find coaching. Coaching found me. I was lost. I was confused. I didn't feel like I belonged. Coaching made me find my belonging. When I came to Pretoria, didn't have any friends, lost track of all of my high school friends. But it is in this environment that I found my tribe, that I found my family. And I'm thinking, this is what COMENSA is. It is a place of belonging. It is a tribe. It is a place where many of us get to find our voices, even as we help others to develop their voices. And to the leadership, I want to say to you, continue. Continue doing what you're doing. May you grow beyond the borders of our country, into Southern Africa, into East, into West. May you grow beyond the continent of Africa, because this is what the world needs. Especially today, with all the division that is happening, with all the divisiveness that is happening, we need voices that say, you belong not because of the color of your skin, not because of your gender, not because of your education, but because of your passion and your deep love for humanity. You belong. And may God richly bless you, continue to increase your borders, continue to increase your impact, to make it meaningful, to make it impactful, so that today there'll be more and more like me who can say, I was lost, I was confused, I didn't know what this was about, but I found my place of belonging, and I found my passion, I found my purpose. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for what you do, and massive congratulations for the 20 years.
For a minute there, you had me asking myself, but who am I again? And I reconnected with myself quite quickly, because I think that the last few speakers have connected with us and reminded us why we're here. From the opening remarks by Mohau, giving us the direction of where the organization is going, and all the people in this room, what role that you've played in bringing us here, but also a vision of the direction we can go towards Africa, the rest of the continent, but also understanding that we are enriching the roots that we already have here. Understanding also through Leanne, basically, that partnerships are the cornerstone of how we can make things move forward. So being one of the first to say, yes, I'm going to support, opens up the doors for others to follow. Mark reminding us is that it's the architecture that we build, that we create, that allows us to build on solid foundations. And being the first to create that architecture means that you will be learning different lessons, but they are worth it because over time, they will prove themselves. Avasha reminding us that when we're connected, we are also building relationships. And the cornerstone of us getting to where we are today is founded on cornerstones. Jabu asking us who we are, reminding us to connect with curiosity, but also reminding us that the journey of coaching is one that reconnects all of us to our identity, giving a sense of meaning, purpose, connection, and belonging. Ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up this part of the program, I invite you, as Mohau invited us earlier, speak to your neighbor. That might be your new business connection. Engage with each other and celebrate the fact that we are here, not only to gather and to recognize the journey that we've walked, but there's still more to come. Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served.
So this room is really lit tonight. And this is not just the lights, but the dress code. Wow. Thank you for those who really went all out. The taxes, there's nothing that I appreciate more than a man in a tux. Just saying. Ladies, you are looking absolutely stunning. Thank you for hitting to the core to celebrate. I know that we have started running a bit late, starting at 7 instead of 6 for 6:30. And I promised the MC that I will play a bit of catch up as well, because I know it's been a long day for those who are at the conference. And especially those who are at the conference, I do thank you for still coming through to celebrate with us. Sakwa, we were awarded not 2, not 3 years, like in the past, but 5 years re-recognition by Sakwa. That was a milestone achievement. It was a moment of celebration that we have not taken seriously, and we want to pause at this point in time and truly celebrate the project team that put it all together, the hard work behind the scenes. I want to call to the stage the MEXEC Chair, Sean Fenn, the National Office Administrator, Tamara Naidu. Jared, unfortunately, is not here this evening. There was also the company secretary, who's also moved on to greener pastures. That was the project team that put together this Sakwa re-recognition and the award that we received. Where's Tamara? Oh, there we go. So if I can please ask you, it's only 2 out of the 4, 5. But if I can please ask you to applaud even the 2 representing the rest. The hard work that takes place behind the scenes is not always recognized. And I really do want to extend my appreciation from the presidency's office, and that's me and the president, just to say thank you for all that hard work. And as part of the celebration, we have in our midst Yapinel from Sakwa, if you can come through, please, sir, and the president as well. And this is a moment that we are saying, it's a photo opportunity. So Mr. Photographer, or Ms. Photographer, wherever you might be, let's take this, come to the stage, please. This is a stage moment. It's a moment just to celebrate and capture it for the history of COMENSA. Mr. Yapinel deals with professional bodies within SAQA. I don't know if you'd like to say a word or two.
Good evening, colleagues. It's really a pleasure to be here to really hand over the re-recognition certificate to COMENSA. And I must tell you also that if you really are part of the re-recognition and looking what they need to submit, they will tell you it's not easy. So congratulations also again to your 5 years, you say?
Yes.
Congratulations, yeah.
Were you not involved?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
There you go. Please, guys, let me just highlight how important this is. We are the only professional body in coaching and mentorship in South Africa recognized by SAQA. ICF doesn't have this, EMCC doesn't have this. It's a South African recognition. And as we expand our footprint into the rest of the African continent, this is what we are carrying with us, extending the standards, the behavioral frameworks, the ethical standards in particular, that will stand the test of time. This is significant. I also want to take this moment, please, very quickly, to recognize the board strategy task team led by Farah. Farah, if you can come up. Some of you were part of that. So Sean, you can stay on the stage. Oh, is it? Apparently I missed this. So I'm going to recognize it again. Farah led the broad strategy task team, together with Sean, together with Jared, who's not here. They reminded me that and myself for all those other things, but I'm here making the announcement, not taking the accolades. And even our treasurer, who's also not here tonight. So, board strategy task team, the 5-year strategy, this that you are celebrating right now, this that you're experiencing right now, was part of this and is part of this 5-year board strategy. Thank you very much. There's something else, but they don't want me to mention it. Thank you so much for the moment of celebration with us.
I'm listening to the music and thinking, can't they serenade me every time I go home when I open the door? Dun, 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 dun. I could do that, couldn't you? Thank you. Oh, no, I'm taking you home with me. Celebration is what it's all about, an opening with celebration of internal success. And everything always starts with a vision, it starts with a strategy. And the strategy is allows us to come to a place of celebration of awards. When we celebrate awards, part of what we want to be emphasizing is the rigor of the process, the rigor of the systems, and the ability for us to rely on the controls that we have in place. I'm going to invite who we had on board as the external auditors, giving us the external auditors adjudication report, representing Gert IF Jonker Incorporated, Monet Ras.
Good evening, distinguished guests, esteemed judges, nominees, and members of the COMENSA community. It is my honor to present a summary of the agreed-upon procedures conducted on the COMENSA Awards adjudication process for 2026. Our work was conducted in accordance with ISRS 4400 revised, which requires us to perform specific procedures and report factual findings without expressing an opinion or assurance conclusion. As part of our work, we obtained and reviewed the judging criteria for each award category and confirmed that a consistent scoring methodology was applied across all categories. We verified that all judges and submissions were appropriately accounted for and that all expected scorecards were received. We further recalculated scores from the original judging scorecards and compared these to the compiled results. In addition, we confirmed that all calculations supporting the final results were mathematically accurate and that the winners in each category correspond to the highest scoring submissions based on the recorded results. We also noted that all scorecards were completed in full, no conflict of interest were declared by the judges, and based on procedures performed on submission records, no exceptions were identified in relation to submission deadlines. Finally, we agreed the announced winners to the underlying adjudication results and noted no differences. In conclusion, our procedures confirmed that the adjudication process was applied consistently and that the results announced this evening are supported by the underlying scoring. COMENSA has demonstrated a strong commitment to transparency and professionalism. On behalf of the auditors, we commend COMENSA, the judging panel, and all participants for upholding the integrity of this process. Thank you.
The next part in my chapter of my book is How to Train a Man. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have external auditors who've actually verified that our process is just and fair and have followed true course. Internally, we have sharing with us the Audit, Risk and Finance Committee Chair's Process Report. Please help me welcome on stage Teresa Moila.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? You sound tired. How are you doing? Are you okay? Great. Are you still here? Are you still in the moment? It's 20 years. We are celebrating 20 years. 20 years of COMENSA, planting seeds of excellence in the soil of coaching and mentoring across our beautiful country and other parts of the continent. 20 years of practitioners who dared to believe that people matter, growth matters, that the human journey from potential to purpose is worth every investment of time, skill, and heart. And tonight, we celebrate the very best of that journey. Before the category winners and the finalists are announced, I think it is important that we speak to how we got here. Actually, Morne has actually simplified my task by giving a report on the fairness of the judging process. This is a process that was also informed by the values and the ethical standards of COMENSA. And therefore, in a sense, he actually just simplified my task. For us as judges, it was very important that the process that we engaged with had all the rigor, had all the fairness, had all the transparency. I would like at this point to just acknowledge the judges that I worked with. I have my colleague who is responsible for research, for the research committee of COMENSA, Joyce Baloyi, who was also part of the conference task team. And we have Andre Retief. Andre Retief is one of those COMENSA members who doesn't hesitate when he's called upon to serve. He is the current vice chairperson of MECSEC. Where's Andre? I don't know, maybe he's gone out. Oh, yes, Andre, stand up, let people see you. Then we had Prof. Rudy Kimi. Unfortunately, he's based in Cape Town and could not be with us. He is an academic and also very strong in terms of research, and he came with all the insights that one can think of when it comes to research. He was one of the two external judges. Our other external judge is Noni Ngcele. Noni, if you may please stand up. Noni Ngele is she's a multi-award winning businesswoman, CEO of Financial Solutions, esteemed Financial Solutions, and I think I need to mention this. She is one of the less than 10 certified financial practitioners planners in South Africa, certified financial planners in South Africa. So you can imagine she brought in this rigor to say, she will collate the scores, she will make sure that they tally, if there are any changes in terms of whether we were scoring 1 out of 10, with 1 being poor, with 10 being excellent, outstanding. She was there to say, no, I will aggregate, I will do this, and it worked perfectly. So the judging panel was almost like a match made in heaven. And I can say, without any shadow of doubt that in terms of the process that we engage in, we were very uncompromising to say it is about standards, it is about the criteria that has been set, and therefore wanted to make sure that everybody met the criteria that was set. Each judge reviewed the submissions independently, no comparison notes, no hallway conversations, no scores shared until every judge had completed their individual assessments in full. Submissions were evaluated against the published criteria framework that was sent to all the nominees, and the criteria remained unchanged from the moment they were set to the last score that was recorded. There were no moving goalposts, no post hoc adjustments. What was promised is what we delivered. And I would like to say, for us, this is not a formality. We truly believe in each and every one of the finalists. The finalists really, at some stage, we had to pause as judges, pause just out of respect because of the quality of the submissions that we received. And I think for us, the rigor was just the highest form of expression from ourselves as judges, just to say to people, the judging process was really, put to test. The fact that we even brought in our auditors, who are the auditors for COMENSA, and they came, when we said we want the auditors to be involved, I didn't even know that they have these standards that they actually work according to. At some stage, I was asked about documents that were needed, and, obviously, if you haven't signed the declaration and so on, although it was actually indicated in a meeting, we produced those recordings of the minutes of the meeting, because at the end of the day, it is about the transparency of what we had to be looking at. And I would be doing a disservice to this room if I do not acknowledge that this process was not without challenges. The main challenge that I would speak to is the challenge whereby work that ought to be done in 6 to 8 weeks was somewhat collapsed into 2 weeks, with everybody working around the clock to ensure that the process is attended to fully and without any compromise. And I want to now say to all the finalists who will be presented today, you didn't just submit a form to us, a document, as as finalists, you opened your work to scrutiny. You made yourselves vulnerable to a panel of your peers. You said, here is what I have built. Here is what I believe in. Judge it. That takes courage. That takes conviction. And that is the true spirit of a professional. And would like to say to all the finalists across the 4 categories, we see you, we honor you, we celebrate you. The work that you are doing is changing lives. It is shaping leaders of tomorrow. It is holding space for the broken, equipping the overlooked, and building the Africa we dare to dream about. You are not merely practitioners. You are architects of human potential. Go well, grow well, and please do not stop. I thank you.
We love it, we love it, we love it. Thank you so much for that undertaking of how things went on and some of the challenges that we had. We're going to go on to the awards nominations and winners announcements. And to hold this space, I'm going to invite the Vice President of COMENSA, Mpho Mudisaisi, and the CEO of COMENSA, Veronica Katesman-Cronje, to the stage to facilitate the process.
Welcome everybody again for the 7th time. This is one of the most meaningful moments of the COMENSA Africa Conference 2026. Tonight, we do not simply hand out trophies. Tonight, we celebrate seeds. Seeds planted in boardrooms and classrooms, in communities and campuses, in the quiet spaces between a coach and a client where something extraordinary takes root. As you know, we are celebrating our 20th birthday and 2 decades of holding the flame for professional coaching and mentoring on this continent. And as we mark this milestone under our theme, From Seed to Significance, nurturing growth, cultivating legacy, it is only right that we pause and honor those whose work embodies exactly that journey. Legacy is not about what we leave behind, but what continues to grow because we were there. I believe and I know because of my 30 years in community development that a seed can grow into a tree with little care, but with a coordinated and intentional intervention, a seed can become a forest. I'm proud to announce that COMENSA now have its own legacy program, where we want to make coaching more accessible to worthy community interventions by empowering our own coaches. The nominees you are about to meet represent the very best of what our profession stands for. They are innovators, change makers, educators, and community leaders. Each one has been assessed rigorously and independently, as you heard from Teresa, by our panel of judges, and each one has earned their place in this room. It is now my great honor to introduce you to the finalists across our 4 award categories. The first one, or let me first say, is the Best Learning and Development Intervention Award. This award recognizes an outstanding learning and development intervention that has delivered measurable, lasting impact on individuals, teams, and organizations. Our panel looked for innovation evidence of real-world results, scalability, and alignment to COMENSA's professional standards. So the first one is Center for Coaching. The Center for Coaching is a leading international coaching and coach education organization based at the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business, established in South Africa in 2002. Their flagship program, Coaching for Development, marries academic rigor with accessibility, delivering sector-leading innovation and a robust, independently evidenced impact framework, CFC proves that when coaching is intentionally designed, the ripple effect reaches far beyond the individual. Are they here? Hello, welcome. The second finalist in this category is SACAP, the South African College of Applied Psychology. Established in 1997, SACAP is both a gold and silver approved training provider with COMENSA and a level 2 accredited coach education provider with the International Coaching Federation. Their postgraduate coaching program does not simply teach methodology, it cultivates a coaching presence, equipping graduates with the philosophy that coaching is fundamental to effective, human-centered leadership. Leanne? The third finalist is LUSA Social Entrepreneurship Institute. With over 30 years of expertise in impact-driven learning, LUSA SEI is a level 1 BBBE contributor, ETDP and PCETA accredited organization and a COMENSA Silver recognized training provider. They do not just train coaches, they raise leaders, mediators, and change makers, and their entry was recognized as a finalist in the 2024 CSI Legacy Awards, Adelaide. The next finalist is LLC Academy. LLC Academy is a South African accredited skills development and training academy focused on building future-ready leaders, coaches, and mentors through practical blended learning. Their clear learning journey from insight, capability, behavior, impact reflects COMENSA's values of professionalism, ethics, and continuous growth. Category 2 is Significant Social Impact Award. This award celebrates a practitioner, organization, or initiative that has made a demonstrable and meaningful difference to communities or society through the application of coaching and mentoring. Our panel prioritized community reach, depth of sustainable change, equity and inclusion, and ethical grounding. Our first finalist is Dr. Lulu Gwagwa. She is a distinguished leader, coach, and social change architect, founder of the Makazi Trust, supporting orphan children in Umzimkhulu, and of transversing liminality, supporting young women across the Africa continent and diaspora. A PhD graduate of University College London, former CEO of the Independent Development Trust, and current board chair of Barlow World and the First Rand Empowerment Foundation. Her commitment to equity, inclusion, and access to coaching across underserved communities is not a program, it is a calling. Then another finalist, and we're going to call LUSA Social Entrepreneurship Institute again. They also featured in this category. LUSA SEI is a focused model of social coaching and community transformation delivered through partnerships with schools, businesses, and community organizations. They reflect a genuine commitment to the greater good. The emotional and social intelligence-centered approach drives transformation that is both deep and durable. Adelaide. Then I would like to call Linda Remke from Hello Coach. Linda Remke is a master practitioner and supervisor coach under COMENSA and the visionary founder of Hello Coach, a platform born from a dual mission to empower coaches to build sustainable practices while making high-impact coaching accessible to those who need it most. Through a growing network of qualified coaches, Hello Coach is reshaping how individuals and organizations build resilience and unlock potential at scale. The last finalist in this category is Neil Jansen, Abundance Talent Hub. Neil Jansen is a credentialed master mentor with COMENSA, an accredited senior global coach and mentor with the European Mentoring and Coaching Council, and the founder of Abundance Talent Hub. He holds a master's in management coaching from Stellenbosch University and serves as chairperson of the Boland TVET College Council and non-executive director of the Central Energy Fund. To live with intention, lead with heart and courage, and embrace life with joy and a sense of fun. To make a meaningful impact in the lives of others, stand unwaveringly for fairness and justice, and to leave every person, team, and environment better than I found it. That is not a statement, that is a life well lived. And COMENSA is proud to recognize it. So the third category is Established Chapter Excellence Awards. This award honors the COMENSA chapter that has demonstrated exceptional performance with particular recognition for governance quality, member engagement, program delivery, regional visibility, and a spirit of innovation. Our chapters are the lifeblood of COMENSA. They carry the profession to every corner of South Africa. The first chapter is the GP chapter, our local chapter, Peter Manyaka, and the vice chairperson is Muchidisi Letlunyane, operating as the heartbeat of South Africa's business landscape. The Gauteng chapter serves a large and varied membership base with sustained energy and professionalism under Peter Manyaka's leadership. The chapter continues to grow its reach and relevance across the province. Peter? Thanks, guys. Okay, the second chapter is Limpopo, represented by Mia de Bruin and Mashibe Mabelebele. The Limpopo chapter has demonstrated commendable energy and commitment with a growing regional footprint that reflects a chapter actively investing in the profession and the communities it serves. Under Mia de Bruin and Mashibe Mabelebele, they are building a strong and sustainable presence in the province. Mia? Thanks. The third chapter is KwaZulu-Natal, with the chairperson Alison Coates, vice chairperson Michael Kluter. The KwaZulu-Natal chapter has shown consistent dedication to member growth and professional development in one of South Africa's most vibrant and diverse provinces. Under Alison Coates and Michael Kluter, the chapter's resilience and passion for the profession speak for themselves. Thank you. Then the Western Cape chapter, Paul Finnegan and Claudia Finnegan, the power couple. The Western Cape chapter set the benchmark in this category, demonstrating superior governance structures, clearly documented accountability mechanisms, and a comprehensive member engagement strategy that delivered measurable growth in active participation. Under Paul Finnegan's leadership, this chapter exemplifies what excellence in chapter leadership looked like. Just for everybody, this isn't his wife, but his wife is involved. Category 4 is the last category, and that's the Research Award. This award acknowledges original and significant research that meaningfully advances the theory, evidence base, or policy landscape of coaching and mentoring, with particular recognition for work grounded in the African context. Our panel assessed originality, methodological rigor. It's late, guys. I didn't sleep last night. African relevance, practical application, and quality of presentation. The first finalist is Reaching Wisdom. Reaching Wisdom is a coaching and research practice committed to deepening the evidence base of coaching in South Africa, exploring how coaching creates wisdom, reflection, and sustainable growth. Their work contributes meaningfully to both academic scholarship and practitioner development across the continent. Second one is GIBS Business School, Gordon Institute of Business Science. GIBS is a globally Triple Crown accredited institution ranked 26th in the world for open enrollment programs by the UK Financial Times in 2024, the highest ranked Africa business school. Through the Personal and Applied Learning Centre, their research on coaching, leadership development, and organizational transformation demonstrates what is possible when a world-class institution commits to making coaching evidence-based and outcomes-driven. Welcome, Alice. Professor Daniel van Lille is an Emeritus Professor, leadership coach, and former Executive Dean of the College of Business and Economics at the University of Johannesburg, holding a PhD from Stellenbosch and an MPhil in Leadership Coaching cum laude. His research since 2022 focuses on leadership development, transitions, and postgraduate supervision, equipping the next generation of coaching researchers and building the capacity COMENSA's future depends upon. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. It doesn't seem as if he made it. Then TGD Life Coaching. TGD Life Coaching brings both practitioner wisdom and rigorous research commitment to the coaching profession, contributing to the evidence base that enables coaches and mentors to deliver measurable, meaningful change. Their entry reflects the depth of inquiry and practical grounding that defines excellent coaching scholarship. There's someone from them here? Yes. Then the next finalist is Professor Nikita Blanche. He's a professor of leadership coaching and research methodology at Stellenbosch Business School. Professor Nikita Blanche holds a PhD in leadership coaching and has published more than 50 peer-reviewed research articles and book chapters. His sector-leading integration of artificial intelligence into coaching research, including as founder and CEO of Couch VC, is not simply advancing the discipline, but actively shaping its future. Professor Nikki. The last finalist in this category is Amy Moore. Amy Moore is adjunct faculty and professional associate at Gibbs Business School with 43 publishing teaching cases in leading international publishing houses, including Harvard Business Publishing Education. She brings coaching and human development to life through the power of storytelling, and was recognized by the panel for the strongest demonstration of measurable social impact in this category. Ladies and gentlemen, every name you have heard this evening represents a commitment to excellence that goes beyond the individual. These finalists have invested in others. They have trusted the process of growth. They have shown that coaching and mentoring, when practiced with integrity and passion, can change life, transform organizations, and reshape communities. To every finalist, whether or not you take home a trophy tonight, you have already won something far more significant. You have earned the recognition of your peers. You have contributed to a body of work that will outlast any single award. You have helped build the legacy that COMENSA's next 20 years will stand upon. In the spirit of this conference, From Seed to Significance, your work is the seed, and what you have grown is nothing short of magnificent. Let us now celebrate these extraordinary and individuals and organizations, and then please join me in acknowledging all of our winners. The winner in the Best Learning and Development Intervention is the Center for Coaching.
Good evening, everyone. Firstly, I want to say thank you to the COMENSA committee and the awards judges. At the Center for Coaching, we are really, really grateful for this award. Tonight, our director of the Center for Coaching, Janine Arles, is not here because serendipitously, she is running one of our modules for this for the Coaching for Development course, which we've just now received this prestigious award for. My name is Kameshni West. I'm the head of strategic partnerships, and my colleague here is a senior mentor on our Coaching for Development course. And this course has been delivered to over 2,500 participants. We've had impact in that many lives, not just in South Africa, not just on the continent, but globally. So our purpose and our mission is to unleash possibility in everyone that comes through our doors and every life that we touch with our coaching. So we really appreciate this award and thank you for acknowledging the work that is being done. And congratulations to all the other finalists as well. Thank you.
So the winner for the significant social impact category is Dr. Lulu Gwagwa.
Thank you so much to COMENSA and to the panel of judges. I think when the award is your own personal story, it becomes very difficult. I'm kind of feeling quite emotional about it because this work started out of my own personal experience as a young Black woman from KZN rural areas, where I had qualifications, but I didn't trust myself. I was appointed to boards, but deep down there was that sense of, I don't trust myself. And I said to myself, it's got to be different for the next generation, for the young African woman in this continent and in diaspora. So that's what this is about. And today we are in 22 African countries and in the diaspora, working with the age group of 21 to 30, because I believe very strongly that at one level, we work with the girl child, and then we work with women to try to get them to the C-suite, but there's this missing middle. And so our work is about the age group of 21 to 30 young women to deal with their limiting beliefs. And that's what coaching is. And we've combined coaching and psychotherapy because, again, of the context of these young women, that the childhood trauma also becomes another layer in this. So here I just feel that our work is affirmed, and thank you to COMENSA and to the judges for really elevating our work. And I also thank the faculty that we have of 50 women, again, consciously Black women that are working with these women, because for us it is about the experience, the lived experience, and working with others. And so I want to thank all the coaches and the psychotherapists that work with us across the continent. So thank you very much.
So the third category is for chapter excellence. Can I have a drum roll? Western Cape. couple of people said earlier that COMENSA must be like a safe space for people, a home of belonging. Now this is a testimony of that. One chapter one, but all of them are here. So this just shows you how committed we are and how we function as a family. Thanks, guys.
Good evening, everybody. I promise it is going to be few words. My name is Lorraine Lehoge. I'm from the Western Cape chapter membership. It was last year when I walked in a roadshow, Western Cape roadshow. Little did I know that me taking the decision that day, in whatever I was going through in my life that day, I decided I am going because it has to be done. I walked in the room, I introduced myself as we were going around, incredible people around me. My mistake was when questions were asked, all my questions were about membership. I was stating what is wrong, what my concerns are regarding membership. Little did I know. Paul said, seeing that you've got so much concern about membership, why don't you do it? Because you called, the fact that you're concerned about membership, therefore is your calling. You do it yourself. And here I am. Thank you so much. God bless.
Then our last award is the Research Award. Can I have another drum roll? I like it. And that goes to Professor Nikki Terblanche.
Another big round of applause for all the winners. It feels good to win. But like they say, everybody's a winner. I would like to call upon the president of COMENSA, Mohau Mpomela. There's a special award, a presidential award in volunteerism and ambassadorship. So I'd like to call him to the stage to present this award.
Good evening once again. And certainly, and I know that it is late at night. And Veronica, you have said that is possibly a long day and a long night. Let me put it into context, this award. In a 20-year organization, when you award volunteerism and ambassadorship, the question is always, how far do you go and how near do you come? Okay. And again, in an organization that its work, it's based on volunteerism. Literally, this award could have gone to any one of the volunteers. You saw the task teams that have come in here, all of them are all volunteers. And they could have easily had this. And I would like to highlight that there are so many volunteers And this is the first of those. It was also based on a criterion of selflessness, of dedication, of a vision for COMENSA, and presence, and be out there and leave the COMENSA brand. Allow me to read this. I'd just like to go through it quickly, and then I can talk to it, if you allow me, so that I don't waste time with it, and I can go through it. The person I'm going to be awarding this is the essence of true leadership. And we say the essence of true leadership is not found in prominence or recognition, but in consistent, values-driven contribution over time. The person who will be awarded stands as a profound embodiment of this principle. And as one of the founding members of COMENSA in 2006, over 2 decades, demonstrated a rare blend of visionary thinking, humility, unwavering commitment to the growth of the coaching, mentoring, and supervision profession in South Africa and beyond. What distinguishes this candidate is his gentle, quiet, yet powerful leadership style. He navigates complex spaces with calmness. We talked about curiosity earlier on, and with intentionality. His approach is neither loud nor self-promoting. Instead, it is thoughtful, probing, and deeply reflective. He's inquisitive in nature, challenges those that are around him to think beyond the obvious and to engage more meaningfully when it is, even when occasionally he can pushes you to come out of your comfort zone, and his ability to invoke deeper insight without imposing authority is a hallmark of a true visionary. What sets apart a leader from other people? These days, it's a flavor of a day to hear people saying, "Hey, leadership, how are you? Hey, my leader, how are you?" This is what is being said lately. What sets apart a leader from others is their ability to influence a clear, inspiring vision. That's a leader. If there is no vision in it, then you must question that. And it must be through emotional intelligence, integrity, and growth mindset. I'll cut the speech here that I do have. It's a lot long. His contribution to COMENSA is inseparable from the organization's evolution, as the organization responded to the changing socio-professional landscapes of South Africa, embracing transformation and becoming necessary and inevitable. This person was amongst those at the forefront of this journey. With steadfast resolve, he supported and sustained a deliberate transformation agenda. We've had the transformation agenda from Prof. Mohale earlier on. His efforts alongside fellow founding members contributed to a historic shift in leadership, representation in COMENSA, including the appointment of the first Black president of COMENSA, which is not me. The commitment to the transformation was never symbolic. It was a practical, intentional, and sustained. We can have transformation, and it is window dressing, and it is done for tick box. And this was never the case. He ensured that this momentum did not falter, consistently advocating for a meaningful inclusion across COMENSA and its committees. Even his retirement, his dedication to COMENSA has not waned. He has continued to serve the organization on an advisory capacity, generously sharing his wealth of knowledge and experience. His leadership extends into the development of coaching supervision within COMENSA. He played a pioneering role as the chairperson of the COMENSA Supervision Portfolio Committee. Under his guidance, this portfolio embraced emerging global trends while remaining grounded in local context. His passion for the profession is further reflected in his ongoing involvement in credentialing, processing of credential coaches as a COMENSA coaching evaluator. His willingness to invest time, expertise in developing up-and-coming coaches and mentors and supervisors speaks to his belief in legacy and sustainability. He is not only concerned with the present state of the profession, but is deeply invested in the future thereof. A visionary idea that we talked about, or that we're talking about now, has long been championed, that of borderless COMENSA, a concept that speaks to collaboration, accessibility, and continental inclusivity. Beyond organizational structures, his impact is profoundly felt in community, at community level. As a founding member of the Naledi Education Coaching Program in the Western Cape, he has contributed to programs that serves under-resourced schools in the Western Cape. His work exemplifies volunteerism in a true or in the truest form and part. Practical, sustained, and focused on meaningful change. His contributions are not confined to theory and academia. They are lived experiences or have been experienced by him on a transformative level. His presence in COMENSA is both constant and reassuring, whether through physical attendance at the events or active participation in virtual engagements, remains deeply connected to the community. His personal commitment, often at his even own expenses, underscores a level of dedication that cannot be overstated. For many members, he is a familiar and a trusted presence, even if they have not even met him in person. What makes this individual particularly deserving of volunteerism and ambassadorship is not only what he has done, but how he has done it. He leads without imposing, yet firm and with conviction. He has engaged difficult conversations with courage and integrity, always guided by the best interest of COMENSA at heart and the broader profession. I'm getting there. He is a principled, fair, and unwavering in his commitment to ethical and impactful practice. This very same gentleman is, without any question, one of COMENSA's unsung heroes. And I said, it is not about prominence. It is not about showcasing and all of that. His contribution have shaped the organization's identity and strengthened its credibility. He exemplifies, as I get to close, a spirit of volunteerism, selflessness, and that is sustained over the years. And as I said, this is a founding member of COMENSA. Yes, indeed, there could have been many of those that are eligible, and there will be those that will continue to be eligible. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to call on stage Mr. Jeremy Clampett.
Let me just say, I scarcely recognized myself in that speech. And only towards the end, when he kind of dropped a few obvious clues, I thought to myself, this is getting embarrassing. To all those who really should be up here on the stage as well, it's fantastic to see how much others have contributed. I regard my contribution not as all that significant, but I really do appreciate the words, Mahao, and I love the organization, I love you, I love everybody here, and just I want to thank you very much for all that COMENSA represents. So thank you very much, everybody.
I don't know much about Jeremy, but I know he can dance. And if he can't dance, then he's definitely a very quick learner. I began this evening acknowledging one of the lessons from my parents. And I began with that because one of the things I acknowledge is the power of ritual. Ritual allows us to connect with the way we do things. It allows us to connect with the meaning of things. It allows us to connect with the process of things. And it allows us to belong to a way of doing things. So we started with food. We're going to start winding down the evening, yes, again, with food. But there's nothing better than dessert. But to cue in what dessert is going to be like this evening, I'm going to invite Mpho back to the stage. Please, Mpho. Yes. Oh, she doesn't even need the stage, right? She's going to take it over from here, and I think there is a special thing coming.
It's our 20th anniversary logo that you have seen with COMENSA written on it. It's beautiful. And at this moment, I would like to call forward, please, the past president, the past VP, Andre and Colleen. This is a continuation of the journey. This is a legacy. And as you come forward, we are looking at the last 20 years of COMENSA, and we have the pleasure of having a past president and a past VP in the room. And as we look to the past, we move to the present and we continue with the legacy. And I'd like to call the current president, as I stand as the current VP, to represent the present and the future. a momentous occasion. You are looking at literally the past, the present, and future all together in one room. You're looking at what COMENSA stands for. You're looking at diversity, inclusion, integrity, and the ethical standards that we uphold so proudly. You are looking at the COMENSA that I personally feel so proud to contribute to. Even as a volunteer, I work like I'm a full-time employee who's paid millions. Because that's the passion, that's the commitment. This is what the people in front represent. These are individuals who embody the leadership within COMENSA that they were not paid for, that we give out of passion, commitment for the cause, the profession that we are so proudly practicing. And this is a moment I'm hoping will be captured in the history of COMENSA as we celebrate and we remember what we stand for. This, for me, is the COMENSA that I'm proud of. I thank you. We're going to have the cake as dessert. So if you'd like to just wait for a minute, it will be wheeled back to the kitchen and cut up for us into smaller sizes of dessert. Those who don't like cake, Farah has arranged for a fruit salad for those who are healthy. But I think you should just break the rule for tonight. It's an important night, it's an important occasion. Let's all have a bit of the cake in celebration of 20 years of COMENSA.
We are a wonderful community. And I love the age of technology because I think a couple of people can take beautiful pictures, and I hope you can share with the rest of us. We're coming to that point in the journey where we're going to give some closing remarks. And to give closing remarks, I'm inviting to the stage the Gauteng Chapter Chair, Peter Manyaka.
All right. Tamara, it's the uncle speaking now. Can everybody listen to the uncle? You know, in the African family, there's always the uncle that comes in and say the vote of thanks. Now, it depends when the uncle is called. Sometimes the uncle is called before people are eating or before they've eaten, or sometimes he gets called when, you know, just after. So I'm that one where we're all full. So, as you know, most of the uncles don't write speeches, and then you know that the speech is going to be long. So now this uncle has written his speech, so hopefully the speech is going to be short. All right, good evening, everybody. Not yet. Distinguished leaders, honored finalists, award recipients, and fellow members of the COMENSA community. What an incredible evening this has been. Tonight, we have not only celebrated 20 years of COMENSA, we have celebrated excellence, we have celebrated impact, and most importantly, we have celebrated people, the very heart of our passion, of our profession. The theme, from seed to significance, nurturing growth, cultivating legacy, has truly come alive tonight. Because every finalist we have recognized, every award that has been presented, represents a journey of growth, commitment, and meaningful contribution. To all our finalists, congratulations. Yeah, it's fine, you can clap. I know it's a long, long line. Some people have been here for more than 12 hours, so it's understandable. You're all already winners. You represent the standard, the excellence, and the future of coaching, and the mentoring across our country and the continent. To our award recipients, well done. Your work reminds us of what is possible when purpose meets practice. Allow me to extend sincere appreciation to our COMENSA president, the board, and the leadership. Thank you for your vision, and stewardship. You continue to guide this profession with intention and courage. To our CEO and the organizing team, this evening has been nothing short of world class. From the elegance of the event to the seamless execution, and how beautiful all you are looking. Thank you for walking this journey with us. Your contribution enables the growth of this profession and its impact. To my roses, my committee members, I'm the thorn that keep the bugs away and encourage the nurturing bees. To my fellow chapter chairs, you guys are a bunch of awesome people that are courageous in ensuring that our members are fed with knowledge to keep them with us. To our community, to each and every coach, mentor, practitioner, and leader in this room, tonight is a reminder that the work we do matters. Whether it is developing leaders, transforming teams, supporting individuals through complexities, or contributing to societal change, your work creates ripple effects far beyond what we can always see. As we reflect on the categories recognized tonight, from social impact to research, from learning and development to chapter excellence, we are reminded of one powerful truth. Coaching is not just a profession. It is a force of transformation. And in a world that is becoming increasingly complex, uncertain, and fast-changing, our role has never been more important. As we look ahead, we celebrate this milestone. We are also called to look forward to continue raising standards, deepening our ethical practice, expanding across Africa, and embracing innovation, including AI, in ways that enhance, not replace, our humanity. Because the future of coaching will belong to those who can balance both depth of human connection and breadth of impact. So tonight, as we celebrate excellence, let us also reflect. What legacy are we each building? Because the true measure of this profession will not be the awards we receive, but the lives we impact and change. On behalf of the Gauteng chapter and on behalf of COMENSA, thank you to everyone that made it this evening possible. Thank you for your presence, your contribution, your commitment to this profession. May we continue to grow, may we continue to lead, and may we continue to turn seeds into significance. Good evening and congratulations to everybody else. Thank you.
To provide acknowledgement and appreciation, I'm going to invite to the stage the conference committee lead, who I hope will also do the speaker's gifts, Farah Ali.
Good evening again, everyone. All protocol observed. I'm the last one, so please bear with me. My president has touched on a couple of things. Teresa's touched on a couple of things. So I'll try not to be too long because I know I'm standing between you and this dance floor. As we bring this extraordinary evening to a close, I stand before you with a deep sense of gratitude, pride, and reflection. Tonight has not simply been an event. It has been a defining moment in the history of COMENSA. An evening of this caliber is never the work of one person. It is the result of many hands, many minds, and many hearts working together. It is such a privilege to have been trusted with the position of Conference Task Team Lead. To the Conference Task Team team, your commitment, your energy, and your belief in this vision has brought this event to life. And this team, again, is the President, the VP, Teresa, Joyce, CEO, and of course, myself. In order to boost our marketing efforts, we invited Puseletso and Mutsidisi, the Gauteng Chapter Committee member and Gauteng Deputy Chair, respectively. Teresa and Puseletso worked tirelessly on social media to get our message out there. And the message was that you needed to be at the conference and you needed to be at this gala dinner and the awards evening tonight. And by the way, we have a TikTok account now, if you didn't know. Don't play with COMENSA, we're out there. I must mention and say a huge thank you to the duo of our VP and Teresa for always being there as my sounding board and the countless number of hours at all times of the day and night for a quick discussion that ended up in a 2-hour call. Your personal contributions are highly appreciated. This team carried the responsibility of a first, and you have done so with excellence. Tamara, our administrator, thank you for your coordination, the organization, and the many unseen efforts that ensured everything came together so beautifully. You are seen and appreciated. We have Marika, who is responsible for the creation of all our social media posters and content, worked around the clock with me and assisted us in meeting all our deadlines, our marketing deadlines also. Our volunteers, your energy, dedication, and willingness to serve has not gone unnoticed, and you are an important part of our success here tonight. Our generous sponsors, I know our president has covered much of this, SACAP, our silver sponsor, Nedbank, Pulping Print Products, Quantum Thinking, Coach Powerhouse, and Bronwyn Buchanan on the ball. Thank you for believing in this vision. Thank you for your contribution, your presence, and your support in making this event a success. To our Chief Judge, Teresa Moila, and your panel of judges who adjudicated our awards. The responsibility you carried was significant. Thank you for upholding the integrity of the process. You were entrusted with evaluating excellence at the highest level. You have ensured that these awards carry meaning, credibility, and distinction. Congratulations to all our finalists and winners. The quality of your submissions has been nothing short of exceptional. You have set the benchmark that will inspire future generations of coaches and mentors. Thank you for trusting us with your life's work, with your passion. Our strategic partners, SABPP, SIOPSA, SACWA, SACAP, NSG, thank you, because partnerships are what transforms vision into reality. Thank you for your belief in COMENSA, and we look forward to a continued mutually beneficial partnership. Our chapters, the heartbeat of the organization where the magic actually happens. Without your dedication to your members, continuously adding value to your member experience, contributing to membership growth and retention, there would be no COMENSA. To our chapter chairs, your teams, your members, a heartfelt thanks to you for your support throughout this process and your patience with the continuous bombardment of the communication. But unfortunately, it was what we needed to be done at the time to get us to this amazing result tonight. To Peter, the Gauteng chapter chair, and your team and your members, thank you for being such gracious hosts. Yes, yes, yes. This moment we are celebrating is not just about one evening. It represents a season of firsts in this journey of COMENSA. A season where seeds planted over 20 years have begun to bear new and meaningful fruit. So quickly, let's recognize these milestones. Our first national conference that has been a huge success. And thank you to all of you for making that happen. A gathering of minds, of thought leaders, of practitioners, creating a space for learning, sharing, and advancing the profession. This conference represents a commitment to thought leadership, knowledge exchange, and professional excellence across South Africa and the continent. Tonight, our inaugural gala dinner represents more than celebration. It represents identity, it represents community, it represents a moment where we come together just as professionals, but as a collective with a shared purpose. This evening marks our first formal awards recognition. And what we have witnessed tonight is the establishment of a standard. These awards are not simply acknowledgements, they are a benchmark for excellence, a benchmark that defines what it means to practice with integrity, impact, and professionalism. As part of our 20-year celebration, we are creating our first COMENSA documentary. This is more than storytelling. It is the preservation of legacy. It is the capturing of voices, journeys, and contributions, particularly of our past presidents, who have each shaped COMENSA in meaningful ways. This documentary ensures that our story is not lost, but carried forward. And finally, the first edition of our metaphor book, From Seed to Significance, and that's our CEO's baby. A powerful body of work contributed to by our own members. This book is more than a publication. It is a reflection of our collective wisdom, our lived experiences, our creativity as coaches and mentors. It captures the essence of transformation, how growth begins, how it is nurtured, and how it evolves into impact. As we celebrate these firsts, we must recognize that they are built on a strong foundation. We stand on the shoulders of giants. The founders, the past presidents, the leaders who carried COMENSA through its early years and beyond. Each of them planted seeds. Each contributed to building what we now experience. But tonight, we are also writing history, because 20 years from now, another generation will gather and they will look back at this moment. They will look at this conference. They will look at the gala dinner, the awards, the documentary, the book, and they will say, these were the moments that shaped the profession. These were the leaders who raised the standard. These were the people who created a legacy of excellence. And just as we stand today on the shoulders of giants, they will stand on ours. They will stand on the standards we have set tonight, the partnerships we have built, the excellence we have recognized, the legacy we have chosen to create. And because of that, they will be able to see further, grow further, and lead further. As I close, I return to our theme, From Seed to Significance. Every milestone we have celebrated tonight, every first we have accomplished was once a seed, and through intention, commitment, and collaboration, these seeds have grown. As we leave here tonight, let us remember, we are not only part of a legacy, we are creating one. And together, we will continue the journey from seed to significance. Thank you.
From seed to significance, a veritable journey. Every journey starts with the first step, a journey of 1,000 miles. And as you journey, you intersect with people along the way. Every intersection, just a microcosm, a point in time, a point of connection with people where they are at that moment. We can never truly know the impact that we have. I am grateful and I am thankful that on this journey, I was invited in. Because when you walk on a journey, you don't stay in one place. You meet villages, tribes, communities. By coming to this session today, there was an invitation, a welcome. And being welcomed into this community has been such a warm experience. And I think for all of you who've been sitting in this community, engaging with each other, that warmth has been spreading around, which means that anybody who comes in feels like they belong. So as you walk your journey of 1,000 miles, and you build your villages and your tribes, and you invite other people, tribesmen, to join you and to follow you, may you walk lightly, may you tread softly, may you have great impact. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rehema Issa. Thank you for having me as your host, and this evening is now over.